few arguments out there, not too many, revolving around actually selling a collection. Um, Maybe not so much a collection as it is kind of like a maybe an album or a presentation display. The argument that I've been hearing a few times, all right, is should I sell this thing as a set, you know, or should I part it out and sell it that way? What's better for me in terms of how much money I can make at the end of the transaction? Okay, that's a really great argument. Both sides have their apparent positives. Okay, they have their distinct advantages, but we're also going to kind of look at some of the negatives that you can ultimately come across when you're selling things like an album full of coins, or maybe on a grander scale, a full coin collection. All right, is it better to sell the whole collection as is, or should you be a little bit more proactive and actually kind of part out the pieces so that way you can maximize the amount of money? There you go. That's one argument that we've already kind of addressed, but we're going to kind of deep dive a little bit further into it because I owe it to you. Now, we've talked about the whole set selling argument a few times, but they were more so in passing when I'm talking about other things as kind of little footnotes to help, I guess, support some of the information I was talking about with respective series collecting and all that great stuff. But this particular video is going to be 100% wholly dedicated to the argument of selling a collection or piecing it out. Okay, so when we have a complete set of something, we're going to use this as a really good example. You get to see kind of like my work area, how nice and tidy and clean it is, you know, except for all the wires I have here. So for something like this, okay, it's a 5-coin Morgan dollar set. I'm in the middle of evaluating an inheritance that's going to be split 4 ways to 4 different family members. And this is kind of like a really great topic to bring up because I'm doing this. And what I'm doing, even though I have this 5-coin Morgan dollar set in this holder, it's actually a decent presentation case display. Looks like something, you know, that was made about 10, 15 years ago. But when I'm evaluating these type of little collections, I come across this, you know, in this fashion, I have to distinguish price values for each of the coins in there, okay? And that's kind of where this argument kind of fattens up a little bit as far as like the, you know, the direction and why you should do this and that and the other. When it comes to collections like this, if it's a minimal amount of coins and you have to evaluate the actual value of the coins, then I think that's where this particular conversation clearly goes in one direction than the other, okay? In the case of these 5 Morgan dollars, which I'll kind of recap for you what it is, it's a 1900 to 1904 New Orleans BU set of Morgans that was purchased mail order or on a TV coin shopping network channel. As a matter of fact, it's CSN, I believe. You can certainly sell this as a set, but you have to take into consideration the bulk selling strategy. Is that there is no strategy. You're selling a group of coins, so you would expect the least amount of money on average for each coin, right? Makes a lot of sense. It's like going to the store. Are you gonna buy maybe 1 or 2 oranges, or if your grocery store has a bag of 24 at a certain price value, by the time you break down the per piece cost of how much you're gonna have to pay for it, you're gonna find it's cheaper to buy the bag of 24. And that's kind of the same thing that we're gonna apply to coin collecting in certain aspects. This doesn't quite hold very true to every collection. to every coin value because there's going to be intangibles involved that you need to consider. In the case of this bad boy right here, I mean, it looks like it's 5 really generously decent looking coins, all I would say kind of like that mid-state 63 level of grade. If you are doing your research, and this is part of the evaluation part of the research that you're going to be doing, you're going to find that a number of these coins in this collection are worth roughly between $80 to $100. All right, which falls very much in line to what raw kind of grades command. If they were graded, it's really not going to make too much difference if they were sent to, say, PCGS or NGC, and they did indeed come back as a mid-state 63, that you're still going to be looking at $80 to $100. And keep in mind that price has gone up in just the last 2 years as more people are gravitating towards a commodity where it's graded, but they could buy more of it because there's inherently more of them graded at this level for what they call a common date. Now, where things kind of get a little bit, where there's a lot of separation in argument, is when you come across a set like this, and then see this coin that I'm tapping at here, that's a 19030. And the reason why I'm doing that is, to keep the reflection from seeing my entire office, because it's a pigsty, folks. The 19030, if you were doing your evaluation, and you can either look online, which I think is like the easiest way, it's even free, go on eBay, go on PCGS.com, going on Coinflation, whatever. Coinflation won't give you price guide values of that coin. But even just picking up a red book, you go to your Barnes & Noble or bookstore, they have these without even buying them. If you had created a list of the coins you have in your collection, you can go to your library or you could go to Barnes & Noble and actually look at the price guide value. Okay, you're not going to use the price guide value as in, say, what you're going to ask for the coins when it's time to sell it, because the price guide printed media values are nowhere near close as to comparing it to what they actually sell live today. And using eBay, again, is going to be an important tool for things like that. You're going to find that the 19030 Morgan dollar in this set, kind of like the sleeper, you just don't know how much it's going to be worth till you actually get to the coin and you open up the guidebook. Come to find out that in mid-state 63, that's a $700 coin. All right? So that is where the conversation becomes more cut and dry. All right? It's like, okay, I could certainly sell the set. I would probably, and then you can kind of like make two choices for this. I could sell the set. Understand I have 4 coins in there. Let's use $100 to keep it like a nice round number. But I have this 19030. That's part of it. Of course, all the coins are raw. That's $700. So reasonably, because it's a set and it's, you have all these early 1900 minted coins, I could say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and ask $1,200 for this set. Selling the coins individually, in this case, might be even better. You might even realize a little bit more money. Now, I know the math doesn't add up. I say $1,200, but it's more $1,100. But on something like this, you might want to consider selling and parting out the coins individually because you'll realize a little bit more money from them. You also have to consider the fees and stuff and whatnot that's involved with selling the coins, separately. Because you have to pay, you also have to add shipping in for each coin and not one group. All right. So there's a little bit more work involved with 5 coins. You have to package each one securely, separately. The 19030, you'll probably go the extra mile and do much better shipping options, maybe a priority box with insurance and signature for just that one coin. But in this particular case, I would say this is a better candidate to part out this collection separately to maximize the amount of money that you could expect to get, especially when they're raw. Now, when they're graded, it's a little bit different. You could probably get away with selling the whole entire set graded and come away with a little bit more extra money because it's a complete set. And people are completionists. So there are people that actually collect the whole entire Morgan series off of one specific grade. And if these all came in pretty much very on par with grade values, maybe a 62, 63 level, then more than likely they're going to see more value in buying a 5-coin set that's graded by PCGS or NGC and still realize the profit potential. But in certain and probably 95% of the cases, sell each coin of this type individually. And as you can tell, for this particular example with the Morgan dollars, we used the value component as being one of those drivers in determining if you should sell these as a collection or a set. So in this case, we got the value. There's one coin that really skews the overall total value of this collection as opposed to a bunch of coins that have similar values. Enter in a complete 1938 to 1964 Jefferson nickel album set. As you can see, this puppy is like full. But you'll also notice at the same time, the grades of the coins aren't that fantastic. I mean, we're talking about, on average, VF graded coins, okay? But there are people that have put together full sets of these that are mid-state condition that are worth a few $100s. So in this particular case, where we've since evaluated the individual coin values, not only by mintage, but actual price guide values of each coin, there's only really one or two coins that you could look at in this set and say, yeah, I could probably get $5 or $10 from it. That's the 50D and the 39D. And then, of course, you have all these other unique coins like the Silver Wartime series that goes from 42 to 45. Those are silver, but looking at this particular album, the coins grade no better than like a fine and up. By themselves, they're not going to warrant a huge secondary market premium because they are in worn condition like that. So in something like this case, you probably be better off selling it as a set, keeping it in the album because it's a much better photographic, or it's more photogenic for eBay when you have it in an entire, when you have the set in an album, and then you can just flip to each page, take a picture of this page. All together, you'll probably end up with 8 photos for this particular set. You might even do a close-up of the 50D and a couple of the other keys in there. But this would be a great candidate to sell as a set because it would just be too cost prohibitive. It would be too much work to sell the coins individually when they are in this condition. All right, you might even make the argument that a nice gem set of 38 to 64 nickels would still be a candidate to sell as an album, as a complete total package. Again, when you look at the coins individually, there's not one coin that, say, skews the value way out in the left field that's worth like $500, where you're going to have to take that one coin out specifically to sell on its own. All right, and then that's, again, we're using the value proposition to make a judgment call here when we're trying to elect to sell the set as a set or parting it out. So let's talk a little bit about a few of the other things that I would certainly consider selling as a set or as parting out. Another good one would be a complete album of Silver Eagles, a very popular selling bullion / coin. It's recognized as a numismatic treasure to people. If you have a full complete set in an album, okay, that's certainly something that because of the price of silver today and the premiums levied toward those particular coins where you're going to have to pay a lot more per piece, it might not be a bad idea to part the set out, okay? Especially if it's a complete set from 86 to the current date, because there are a few dates in there, like the 96, that if you were able to pull out of there, that one coin by itself, if it's like gem, really nice, very beautiful coin, can earn you $200 to $300 raw. That's a coin that people are pursuing to grade. They're trying to look for that mid-state 69 or mid-state 70 of a 96 which is known as the key of the entire series, based off of mintage alone. Now, this is where we're going to assume that this set is strictly just a BU Unk set, kind of like pure bullion. There's no proofs, no burnished, or any of that stuff. So something like that, I would probably consider taking the one key date out of there, or maybe another key date. Some of those 1990s Silver Eagles are incredibly tough to find in mid-state condition, where they might be a candidate for a 70 grade. Because once they hit a 70 grade, there are a few of these coins on the secondary market that could hit these just categorically strong prices of like $1,000 to $2,000 on average. I've seen it all the time, and they're constantly being sold in the marketplace by outfits like Great Collections and Heritage Auctions on a weekly basis. So things like that I would certainly consider. A lot of modern compilation type of sets. There are people that have completed, believe it or not, the Presidential Dollar Series. That's something you could sell as a set, because individually they don't hold a ton of value. If you're not looking to do a lot of work, and then there's an expected realized value of what you think it's worth, in that particular case, some people would say, well, I would be complacent with face value off of a complete set of presidential dollar coins, then just go ahead and sell it as a set. All right. So that, it's not all, completely isolated to album sets or presentation case display type stuff, but also if someone had, say, a full millennium set, I'll just call it a millennium set of proof sets from the year 2000 up to the current date, they would probably much be better off selling it as a set, because the sets by themselves, especially the copper nickel clad versions, don't hold a really good secondary market premium. Okay, you could buy it at the mid for $30, but when you go to sell it, they generally have very trash-like secondary market activity that, you're just better off selling it as a group. But to someone that's looking to jump right in to buying a completist type of set like proof sets, that they like it better, and you might even get more bids for the item itself as being sold as a set, as opposed, because right now I'm currently buying the silver quarters going all the way back to 1999, because I'm completing a full album set of the 90% silver quarters. And I keep telling myself, because I'm constantly looking on eBay, man, I really wish someone would sell a large lot of them. I wish someone would come out and sell like maybe 5 consecutive dates, or maybe an entire decade run of just the silver quarters. But the thing is, you got to take into consideration that the silver quarters were not just sold by itself from the mint. They were a complete set that also had the dime, the half dollar, and the penny, and the dollar coin, and all that stuff. So in those particular instances, you might have to just chalk it up and buy everything together. With things like that, it's not necessarily a foregone conclusion that you're going to get a bulk rate off of that, because it is silver. People have put silver high atop a pedestal, even though it's not $50-$60 an ounce like it was back in 2011. So it's kind of crazy the way things are right now, even with the market that's kind of like floundering a little bit. Always do your due diligence, do the research in advance. You got to know if you have a key date. One of the biggest sets that I see people throw up on eBay, or they advertise on Facebook Marketplace without considering if it's worth pulling a few of the coins out to sell individually, are Lincoln Cent albums. Full, complete. Now, albeit not the highest grade quality of coins, but maybe they have a set that has maybe a VG 1909 SVDB Lincoln Cent, but they've elected to keep it in the album and sell it as a complete set. And then they get a little bit blown away when they're only able to sell the full set, and that's including the 14D, 31S, and all those great dates. They sell the entire album for like $500. So, whereas if you took out the big time key dates that have a tremendous amount of value that would normally skew the total value of a collection, taking those out, selling them individually would be more beneficial to you. Okay, and you could always sell the rest of the set. All right, in the album, people again love the presentation of seeing all the coins in an album. They could buy that, and then all they have to do is do little upgrades in the future. You know, they'll take a coin that maybe was clean, they'll pull that out and put another coin in its place of the same date that maybe is more commensurate with the overall just average grade range of all the coins combined. People love to do that, all right? But in terms of you as a seller, if you are going to do it and do it intelligently to where you're going to make money at the end, it's not going to be so much more hard work to just pull out those key dates, sell those individually, and then ship them individually. All right, it's really not that much work, and you would be making a lot more money doing it that way. So that's why I wanted to talk about a little bit of the argument of do I sell this? Do I part it out? Part out my collection and make more money that way? Is it realistic, or selling the set as it is? Hopefully that was able to give you a little insight. Again, two important pieces to the puzzle. Grade. All right, if you have a lot of high grade coins, those ultimately lead to the next thing, which is value. You got to check out the two things in the set in order for you to, gain an understanding of whether or not selling it as a set or parting it out is truly the options for you. If you don't do that, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table. You're going to give the next guy the big bargain, and they're going to do whatever they want with that thing. They'll part it out themselves and make a few $100s on their own. And people do this all day long in the coin industry, in the hobby, on the dealer side of things. They recognize these opportunities and they pounce on it. Make sure you're not on the receiving end of the pounce. Always do what you have to do to maximize the effort and the money that's involved with selling a collection. All right, so anyways, that's what I wanted to talk about. Thank you guys again for joining in. We will be back live tonight on the Live Coin Q&A YouTube channel. Go ahead and check us out, 5:30 Pacific, 8:30 Eastern. I will be there along with the rest of the group of panel members to talk about some of the coins that have come in to the Live Coin Q&A email. If you guys have questions, maybe you have a coin you want to submit for us to take a look at, go ahead and drop it to our email, and that's info@livecoinqa.com. I'm your host, Sean, with Blue Ridge Silverhound. Thank you guys again for joining in on this video. It certainly was a pleasure. Come check me out on TikTok as well, at Blue Ridge Silverhound. And we got more shorts that are going to be coming up here in the summer. So that's going to go ahead and do it. Thank you guys. Have a wonderful Monday, and I'll see you guys on the next coin video. So long.